Should men get married? Men give more with marriage and women take more. That's why men must be careful. Let's review. First, we'll take the point of view of a high-value man. Later, we will see average and lower-value men. Keep that in mind because it's very important. Let's review first an evolutionary point of view. Keep in mind, evolution is mostly about reproduction. And in our evolutionary history, high-value men had the opportunity to sleep, mate with many women, and potentially have children with many women. So high-value men who commit give up the opportunity to sleep around and have many children. Of course, in most cases today, we are not talking about many children. However, our psychology is still wired the same way. Even without an evolutionary point of view, it still applies. We only lose the children portion of the equation, not all of the others. All the neural makeup that led men to prefer being single is still there for men. So for example, men enjoy more variety of sex, the thrill of the hunt, dating around, etc., etc. So even today, even without considering children, high-value men still face an opportunity loss with commitment. So in that sense, men give more and women take more. Women take more also for different reasons. A woman in general is better off pairing up with a high-value man than sleeping around. There is no benefit for a woman who is sleeping with 10 men. She's gonna have the child of one man only. So it's better for her to pick a high-value man. This is also the case for raising children. So in general, we see that men give more and women take and benefit more. This by itself, please don't let that stop you. It will be such a wrong and toxic mindset to think that because you as a man are giving, then it's a no. Fuck that. It's overly calculative. A good relationship is give and take. In a good relationship, you should be happy to give. However, just giving is naive. So the big question at this level is she deserving of your giving? Ponder the question very deeply. If she's deserving, if she's a grateful woman, if she gives back, if she makes you better off, if she makes you happier, then great, you should be happy to give. The second point is power dynamics. And of course, the two are not in isolation. There is an overlap between the exchange and the power dynamics. So if you give, ideally, you're also supposed to take, because from a power dynamics point of view, it can be dangerous to give without a good exchange, because the giving can easily be framed as making up for the difference. When that happens, then you are framed as lower value and you lose a lot of attraction, you lose a lot of power, and it's not only bad for you, it's bad for both actually. So to give, it actually requires skills. That's why on ThePowerMoves we talk about high power, high warmth. Warmth alone, it can easily make you the sucker. Giving without skills and without power is at high risk of making you the sucker. This is, by the way, where Power University can be very, very helpful, because it allows you to be a giver while still gaining, while still maintaining your power, your attraction in dating and in all other scenarios of life. The other point in power dynamics is that part of the allure of the attraction of the high-value man is that he can sleep around. The high-value man is, in a way, a little bit of a stallion. The moment he commits, he loses that side of his personality and that part of his attraction. That has many consequences, including a little bit what the red pill and manosphere call dread game. Now, the red pill, as usual, must turn it into a toxic win-lose power move, so I personally don't like that angle much. However, as it's often the case, there is a backdrop of truth. What's the backdrop of truth? Well, rather than call it dread game, we could call it a little bit of angst. You know, since he has so many options, then it keeps her wandering a little bit, it keeps her investing emotionally, mentally, and even more important, it puts the onus on her to find a way to make him happy with her alone. That's all investment, that's all power for him. And by the way, the toxic way of thinking about power is, I have power, it's good for me, you lose. Instead, if a man is a high power man in the relationship, it's a gain for both. She is more attracted to you, she's happier, you are happier with her, it's win-win. So from a power dynamics perspective, to lose the opportunity to date around is a potential power loss. Again, it doesn't have to be, but if the man is not skilled, it can be. The other issue is also tied to value and power. So it works like this. On average, committed men tend to be lower value and lower power than single and happy and confident and successful men. Please, please, I beg you, don't be like those bunch of manosphere idiots who tend to overgeneralize everything. So it works like this. If you take a single committed man in a marriage and a single guy, sorry for the cacophony there, then you cannot really say who is higher value. However, if you take 10,000 married men and 10,000 single, happy, successful, maybe even player guys, then I will bet my house that the 10,000 single, happy and successful ones are higher value, higher power, and more attractive than the married one. So again, the man who gets married, unless he's skilled, unless he's able to maintain his power and allure, he risks of becoming lower power and less attractive for the simple fact that he goes from single and ready to mingle to committed. Now, to summarize then, what's the second question the man must ask himself? Can I maintain power and attraction if I go committed? Consider, you don't have to be 100% the same. If you as single are 100 level of attractiveness and as married go to 95, 94, 96, even 90, it's not a big power loss. You're still a very attractive man, she's still gonna be very happy with you. However, the question is how much of the power you can lose, because if you're very skilled, you don't lose any and you can even gain some. However, if you're not, then definitely you need to be careful because the transition can cost you power and attraction. And again, that's a loss for both of you. I don't want to plug my products, but really it's not a plug. There is nothing compared to Power University to learn this stuff. So if you're interested to go from single to one day married, it can be a worth investment for you, worth considering. By the way, there is also a fantastic frame that you can use to propose and agree to the wedding and the marriage while still maintaining high power and even gaining some. And I'm gonna drop it on Patreon. Sorry guys, I need to make TPM as strong as possible to keep doing what we're doing. Now, if the two checks, if you're happy to give, if she's well deserving, if you can maintain power, then we go to the third level. The third level is the legal one. I have no idea about legal one. Everybody talks about it, but they're freaking clueless. On average, men who earn more in Western societies are at higher risk. However, don't listen to anybody online. They are clueless about your specific situation. Just simply go to a lawyer, talk about it, think about it, consider it. Fourth level is logistic. Logistic is how easy would it be to disengage in case it doesn't work. I think the best way to be successful is to be realistic. That, you marry, you hope for the best, you work for the best. You're a smart guy if you're subscribed here, if you're not subscribed, and chances are that you can beat the average. On the other hand, it's always helpful to consider the downside. What happens if it doesn't work? So personally, I will not move in my place because then it can get messy. Just get a new place, and if it doesn't work, make sure for you that it's easier to delink. So if everything's checked out, if you're happy to give, she deserves it, you can maintain power or even increase it. If legally you don't lose much or nothing, and if it's easy for you to disengage, hey man, why not? I do not understand men in the manosphere who say never get married. Actually, I do understand. It's because they got burned, they got the pain. It's because they were clueless about how to manage relationships. and now they overgeneralize. Again, let's not make blanket rules. Personally, I think that many high-value men may be better off singles, but if you found the right woman, if you're happy, if you're in love, why not? If she's awesome, if you will be happy to give that, if you enjoy the wedding with your parents and your stuff, that's beautiful. I'm happy for you, man. Go for it. Let's talk a little bit not high-value men. Now, here is an interesting thing. In the manosphere, often it's about power, but power and the exchange are tools to achieve ultimate goals. So if you met a woman who is fantastic, maybe even higher value than you are, then marriage could be needed for you to pair up with a woman. If that is the case, again, why not? You're gaining, she gains, win-win. However, you do want to be careful, because giving in that case can further frame you as even lower value than she is. That will tank attraction, and it will start a dynamic where your giving is framed as something that you have to do. It comes to be expected, she may come to demand it, she may come to despise you. This is the ugly side of power dynamics. If you give as a lower value man, it can even be framed as slimy. So again, whether you are high value, average value, or low value, it doesn't matter. Power awareness makes you more effective, and it's very important. So to summarize, if you're not such a high value man, marriage may be needed for you, but fuck it, man. Focus on your ultimate goal. Is your ultimate goal to have a great woman? Yes. Does marriage help you with that? If yes, then why not? Just be knowledgeable of how you do it, how you offer it. Again, if you're interested, on Patreon we share a very good frame and technique to go about it without losing power or even gaining it. This was like a very quick overview. Of course, there will be a lot more to say, a lot more nuances, a lot more exceptions, a lot more techniques and strategies. And if you're interested, please let me know